The glass shattered at 1:43 a.m., and Isla Reed's life changed in the time it took a billionaire to see what she'd hidden for 3 years. He didn't look away. And that was the problem. She heard it first. The crack, sharp, violent, splitting through the storm like a gunshot. Then the skylight exploded. Glass, water, rain pouring through the ceiling of the private thermal pool where Isla had been swimming. Alone, naked, safe. Until now. A tree branch the size of a car had punched through reinforced glass, and now everything was chaos, water flooding marble tile, shards everywhere, her towel 6 feet away. She scrambled backward, slipping, gasping. Grabbed fabric, pressed it to her chest. The door burst open. Moreau stood in the doorway. His eyes found hers for half a second. Then dropped. Not to her body. To the scars. Left side, shoulder to hip, pale, raised, unmistakable. The map of everything she'd survived and spent 3 years hiding. His face didn't change, didn't flinch, didn't soften with pity or harden with disgust. He just looked, then turned his back. "I heard the crash," he said flatly. "Are you hurt?" Isla couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Moreau, the man who owned this estate, who built empires, who never looked at anyone twice, had just seen every part of her she swore no one would ever see again. "No," she managed. "I'll send someone, get dressed." He left. The door clicked. Isla collapsed against wet tile, rain hammering her skin, and pressed her palms to her face. She'd been so careful. Midnight swims, empty estate, no witnesses. Now he knew. And worse, he'd seen her like this. Vulnerable, exposed, exactly what she swore she'd never be again. 20 minutes later, Isla stood in the staff locker room, fully dressed, hands still shaking. Her phone buzzed. "Mr. Moreau, request your presence in the East Wing office." Her stomach dropped. She worked here 8 months, seen him twice, once during her interview, once at 2 a.m. when she nearly dropped a medication tray. He never spoke to staff, never acknowledged them. Now he wanted to see her. She should quit, run, disappear into the storm. Instead, she walked. The East Wing was dark except for his office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, rain-black hills, a desk made from a single slab of obsidian. Caleb sat behind it, posture perfect, expression unreadable. "Sit." Isla stayed standing. "I'd rather not." His eyes flicked up, gray, sharp, clinical. "You're not in trouble." "Then why am I here?" "To apologize." She blinked. "You already did." "Not properly." He stood, moving around the desk with unsettling grace. Stopped 6 feet away, exactly far enough to be respectful, close enough to be deliberate. "What I saw wasn't meant for me. I violated your privacy. That's unacceptable." "It was an accident." Intention doesn't erase impact. She stared. Men like him didn't apologize. They explained, justified, dismissed. "I won't tell anyone," he continued. "If you want to transfer to another property, I'll arrange it. No questions, no consequences." "You want me gone." "I want you comfortable." "Those aren't the same thing." Something flickered in his expression, almost human. "No, they're not." The silence stretched. Isla felt exposed again, but this time fully clothed. This time he was looking at her face asterisk. Somehow that was worse. "I'm not transferring," she said. "I need this job." "Then you have it." She nodded, turned to leave. "Miss Reed." She stopped, hand on the door. "The scars," he said quietly, "they don't define you." Her breath caught. She didn't turn around. "You don't know anything about me." "I know you hide." "So do you." She left before he could respond. Isla expected everything to change. Expected him to avoid her, or hover with unwanted pity. Instead, nothing changed. Before we continue, can I ask you a question? Where in the world are you watching from? Comment below because we'd love to know how far these stories travel, and hit that subscribe button. Caleb came and went as always, distant, efficient, untouchable. Passed her in hallways without acknowledgement, never lingered, never stared. But she felt him watching anyway. Not her body, not her scars. She'd catch him pausing when she spoke to residents, watching from the gardens when she thought she was alone. Once, she found a new lock on the pool room door, one requiring a staff keycard. No explanation, no memo. Just the lock. "He's weird, right?" another caretaker whispered. "Moreau, I heard he fired someone for making eye contact too long." Isla didn't respond. Didn't say that Caleb Moreau had seen her at her most vulnerable and hadn't looked away in disgust. That he'd apologized. That he'd given her control. That he'd called her scars irrelevant and meant it as kindness. She didn't tell them because she didn't understand it herself. It happened on a Tuesday. Isla was restocking linens when she heard voices from the director's office. "You're being unreasonable," Margaret, the estate director, sharp, intolerant. "I'm being clear," Caleb, colder than usual. "She's a caretaker, not a. She's an employee, and she'll be treated with respect." Silence. "If there's a problem," he continued, voice dropping to something dangerous, "address it with me directly." "There's no problem, Mr. Moreau." "Good." Footsteps. Isla pressed against the linen cart, heart hammering. Caleb emerged, jaw tight, shoulders rigid. He glanced her way once briefly and kept walking. Margaret followed seconds later, stopped when she saw Isla. "Miss Reed." "Ma'am." Margaret's smile was thin, poisonous. "Mr. Moreau seems to have taken an interest in your well-being. How fortunate for you." Isla's stomach turned. "I don't know what you mean." "Of course you don't." Margaret's gaze traveled deliberately down Isla's uniform. "Just remember, men like him don't notice people like us unless there's a reason, and when that reason ends, so does the attention." She walked away. Isla stood alone, cheeks burning, hands shaking. "People like us." As if being seen was a crime. She found him in the gardens an hour later. Standing near the reflecting pool, hands in pockets, staring at his warped image in the water, sky bruised with twilight, air thick with jasmine and coming rain. Isla stopped 10 feet away. "Why did you defend me?" He didn't turn. "You heard that." "Margaret thinks I'm sleeping with you." "Margaret thinks everyone is sleeping with someone." He finally looked at her. "Does it bother you, what she thinks? Does it bother you?" "No." "Liar." His mouth twitched, almost a smile. "I don't care what people assume. I care that they treat my employees with respect." "I'm not special." "I didn't say you were." "Then why?" "Because you deserve basic human decency," he interrupted, voice sharp. "Because what happened wasn't your fault and I won't let anyone punish you for it." He stepped closer. "Because you're right, I do hide. And I recognize it when I see it in someone else." Isla's breath caught. "I saw you," he continued quietly. "Really saw you, and I know what that costs. You don't know anything about me. I know you come to the pool at midnight because you think no one's watching. I know you avoid mirrors. I know you tie your hair back even though you hate it because it hides the scar on your neck." His eyes held hers. "I know you're braver than you think." Her vision blurred. "Stop." "Why?" "Because you're not supposed to see that." "Too late." The words hung between them. Isla turned away, arms wrapped around herself. "I was in a car accident 3 years ago. Drunk driver, my fiancé. He walked away with bruises. I walked away with," she gestured vaguely. "This." Caleb said nothing. "He left me 6 weeks later," she continued, voice hollow. "Said he couldn't look at me the same way, said I'd changed. And he was right, I was broken, ruined. Everything beautiful about me died in that car. No. The word was so quiet she almost missed it. She turned. Caleb was watching her with an intensity that made her chest ache. "You're not ruined," he said. "You're asterisk surviving, there's a difference." "Is there?" "Yes, one step closer, careful, deliberate. I've spent my life building perfect things, flawless structures, immaculate designs, and do you know what I've learned?" She shook her head. "Perfection is lifeless. It's the cracks that let the light in, the scars that tell the story." His voice dropped. "You think I saw something ugly that night. I saw someone who'd been through hell and still had the courage to exist." Tears spilled before she could stop them. "I don't know how to believe that." "Then let me show you." Isla didn't know what she expected. Grand gestures, flowers, jewelry, the empty romance rich men bought when they wanted something. She didn't expect silence. For 3 days, nothing changed. He didn't seek her out, didn't corner her, didn't demand. He simply existed in her space, present but not intrusive. On Thursday, she found a book on the break room table. No note, just worn poetry by Leonard Cohen, open to a single underlined passage. "There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." She knew it was from him. On Friday, the pool room was completely renovated. Skylight replaced with reinforced glass. New lighting, softer, warmer. A lock on the asterisk inside of the door. Complete privacy, complete safety. Still no note, no expectation. On Saturday, she broke. She found him in his office at midnight, working under a single lamp, blueprints everywhere. He looked up. Surprise flickered, then settled back to careful neutrality. "I didn't ask for any of this," she said. "I know. So why?" He set down his pen. "Because you shouldn't have to ask." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." He stood, keeping distance. "I'm not good at this, at people. I spent my whole life learning to build walls, not tear them down. But something happened when I saw you that night." "Don't." "Not what you think." His voice was firm. "I saw someone who'd learned to make herself invisible, to shrink, to apologize for existing, and I recognized it because I do the same thing. Different armor, same instinct." Isla's hands trembled. "What are you hiding from?" "Feeling anything." The admission was rough. "My parents died when I was 16, car accident. After that, I learned that caring meant losing, so I stopped. I built buildings instead of relationships, created perfection instead of connection, made myself untouchable. Until I touched something real by accident." His eyes held hers. "You." The air felt electric. Isla stepped back. "I can't be your redemption project." "That's not what this is." "Then what is it?" "I don't know yet." Brutal honesty. "All I know is that for the first time in 15 years I want to know someone, not possess them, not control them, just know them." "Why me?" "Because you're the first person who didn't want anything from me." He moved closer, slow, careful. "Everyone wants something, money, status, access. You wanted to disappear, and somehow that made you the most visible person I'd ever seen." Isla felt her walls cracking. "I'm scared." "Of what?" "That you'll see all of me and change your mind." Her voice broke. "That you'll realize I'm not worth it, that the scars go deeper than skin and you can't fix what's broken inside." Caleb closed the distance, stopping just short of touching. "I don't want to fix you, Isla. I want to know you. The broken parts, the scared parts, the parts you think are too damaged to love. All of it." "You don't know what you're asking." "Then show me." The challenge hung in the air. Isla looked at him, really looked, and saw past the expensive suit and cold exterior. Saw someone just as scared, just as certain they were unlovable. "Okay," she whispered. It started small. Coffee at 6 a.m., him in a t-shirt, not a suit. Hair damp, almost human. They didn't talk about important things. Just coffee and sleep, and the weird resident who rearranged furniture at 3 a.m. Normal safe. But Isla felt herself relaxing, laughing, challenging his pretentious music taste, existing without armor. Then Margaret ruined it. "I need to speak with you." Margaret cornered Isla in the supply closet 2 weeks later, "about your inappropriate relationship with Mr. Moreau." Isla's stomach dropped. "There's no relationship." "Really?" Margaret's smile was vicious. "Then why does he request you for everything? Why are you in his office at midnight? Why did he threaten to fire me when I criticized your work?" "He did what?" "Oh, he didn't tell you." She leaned closer. "He made it clear you're untouchable. That's not normal. That's obsession." "You're wrong." "Am I?" Margaret showed her phone. A photo. Isla and Caleb in the garden, standing close, his hand almost touching her face. Taken 3 days ago, by a board member concerned about Mr. Moreau's judgment being compromised. Isla felt sick. Nothing happened. "Doesn't matter. Optics matter. Right now, you look like exactly what everyone thinks, a sad caretaker who trapped a billionaire with a sob story and scars." The words hit like fists. "I'm recommending your termination," Margaret continued. "Mr. Moreau can override it, but then everyone will know exactly what you are to him. Your choice: leave quietly or destroy what's left of your dignity." She walked away. Isla stood in the closet, hands shaking, vision blurred. Isla didn't go to Caleb. She packed her locker, wrote a 2-sentence resignation, left it on Margaret's desk. Walked out. Made it to her car before the tears came. Her phone started ringing. Caleb, she declined. It rang again, texts flooded. "Where are you?" "Margaret said you quit." "Why?" "Talk to me. Please." She turned off her phone, drove home, climbed into bed fully dressed. Stared at the ceiling until dawn. She'd been stupid, naive, let herself believe someone like Caleb Moreau could see past her scars and want something real. But Margaret was right. This wasn't real. It was pity dressed as interest, guilt masquerading as care. He'd seen her broken and felt responsible. That wasn't love. That was obligation. The pounding started at 7 a.m. Relentless, angry. "I know you're in there." Caleb's voice was rough. "Open the door, Isla." She stayed in bed. "I fired Margaret." That got her attention. She sat up. "I should have done it weeks ago," he continued through the door. "But I was trying to handle things quietly, professionally. I was wrong. She had no right to speak to you that way. No right to make you choose between your job and your dignity." Silence. "I know you're scared," he said, quieter. "I know this looks like control, like I'm trying to save you, turn you into a project I can fix and abandon. But that's not what this is. That's never what this was." Isla stood, moved to the door but didn't open it, pressed her palm against the wood. "I'm not good at this," he admitted. "At being vulnerable, at wanting someone. I spent 15 years making sure I never needed anyone, never gave anyone power to hurt me. And then you walked into my life, or I crashed into yours, and everything fell apart." Her throat tightened. "You were right. I am hiding, from feeling anything real, from risking anything that matters, from being seen the way I saw you, completely, honestly, without defenses. It terrifies me, because if I let you in, if I let this be real, then I have something to lose again." Tears spilled. "But I'd rather risk losing you than never know what we could be," he said. "So I'm asking, please open the door. Not because you owe me anything. Not because I have money or power. Just because you want to, because you think maybe I'm worth the risk too." She unlocked the door. Caleb stood there in yesterday's clothes, hair disheveled, eyes red, nothing like the untouchable billionaire. He looked human, desperate, real. "I can't be your salvation," Isla said. "I don't need salvation. I need you." You barely know me. Then let me, careful step forward. Let me know the you that hides, the you that's scared and scarred and convinced she's unlovable. Let me prove I see all of it and I'm still here. Why? Because when I look at you, I don't see damage. I see someone who survived and still has courage to be gentle, to care, to show up even when your wounds are raw. That's not weakness. That's strength I've never had. She shook her head. I'm not strong. Yes, you are, you just can't see it yet. He held out his hand, palm up, not reaching, offering, let me be the mirror until you can. Isla stared at his hand, at the vulnerability in the gesture, at the man who'd torn down every wall just to stand here and ask. She took his hand. It wasn't easy. Isla had spent 3 years invisible. Unlearning felt like dying. Every time Caleb looked at her, she wanted to hide. Every touch, casual, respectful, made her flinch internally, waiting for him to realize his mistake. But he didn't pull away. When she panicked during their first dinner, attack triggered by nothing and everything, he didn't try to fix it. Just sat on the restaurant floor with her, suit be damned, and counted breaths until she could speak. When she showed him the full extent of her scars, not just visible ones, but the hidden ones, he traced them with gentle fingers and said, "Thank you for trusting me. Not they're not that bad, not you're still beautiful. Just gratitude for being let in." When they fought, and they did, because Isla was stubborn and Caleb was controlling, they learned to sit in discomfort instead of running, to say I'm scared instead of I'm fine, to admit I don't know instead of pretending. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. They learned each other. 3 months later, Caleb's biggest project opened, a museum designed to look like light made solid. Every important person in the city attended, press, cameras, exposure that made Isla want to vomit. You don't have to come, Caleb said the night before, watching her stare at the dress he'd made elegant, modest, sleeves covering scars. Yes, I do. Why? Because hiding isn't living, she turned. You taught me that. He pulled her close, forehead to hers. I'm terrified I'll fail you. You won't. How do you know? Because you already see me. Everything else is details. The opening was overwhelming. Isla spent the first hour feeling stared at. The woman who trapped Caleb Moreau, the caretaker who didn't belong. Then she overheard a conversation. Two board members near the sculpture garden, voices low but audible. Did you see Moreau's date? What is she staff? Former staff. Apparently he's obsessed. Margaret tried to warn us before he fired her. It's embarrassing. He could have anyone and he chooses someone who looks like Mr. Harrison, Ms. Chen. Caleb's voice cut like ice. He appeared beside Isla, hand on the small of her back, protective, possessive, deliberate. I believe you were discussing my partner. His smile was sharp enough to draw blood. Please, continue. I'm fascinated to hear what you think she looks like. Both paled. Mr. Moreau, we didn't. You meant exactly what you said. He looked at them with contempt. And because you did, you're no longer welcome on my board. Security will escort you out. You can't. I can, I am leave. They left stunned. Isla stared at him. You just destroyed 2 relationships over me. No, I removed 2 people who don't understand that character matters more than appearance. That survival is more impressive than perfection. That you're worth 100 of them. Caleb. I love you, rough, unpolished, perfect. I love your strength and scars and stubbornness. I love how you count breaths when anxious and avoid mirrors, and how you're standing here even though every instinct tells you to run. I love all of it, all of you. Something cracked open in her chest, not breaking, blooming. I love you too, she whispered, even though you're controlling and emotionally constipated and terrible at asking for help. He laughed, actually laughed, and pulled her close. We're a disaster. Yeah. Want to be a disaster together. She looked up at this man who'd learned to see her. Yes. 6 months later. The wedding was small, close friends, chosen family, estate residents who'd adopted Isla as their own. No press, no spectacle. Just vows in the gardens at sunset. Isla wore short sleeves, scars visible, mapped across her shoulder and arm like constellations. She didn't hide them. When Caleb saw her, his eyes filled. You're magnificent. I'm terrified. Me too, he took her hands, but I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. They said their vows, honest, imperfect, real. Promised patience with armor and gentleness with wounds. Swore to choose courage over comfort, truth over pretense, love over fear. When they kissed, it felt like coming home. That night in their room, Caleb traced every scar with reverent fingers. Thank you. For what? For letting me see you. For teaching me that being seen is worth the risk. For showing me love isn't about perfection, it's about showing up broken and being loved anyway. Isla pulled him close, feeling his heartbeat. You saved me. No, he looked at her with wonder. We saved each other. And Isla finally believed what he'd been telling her all along, that she wasn't ruined or damaged or less than. She was exactly what she'd always been. Enough. Whole. Loved. Not despite her scars, but including them. Not in spite of brokenness, but because of her courage to exist anyway. Not for who she pretended to be, but for who she'd always been beneath the armor. Isla stood in front of the mirror, first time voluntarily in 4 years. The scars were still there, mapping her skin like evidence of survival. But when she looked now, she didn't see damage. She saw the night Caleb first saw her. The moment everything changed. The beginning of learning that being seen wasn't the same as being exposed, that vulnerability could be powerful instead of weak. Caleb appeared in the reflection behind her, wrapping arms around her waist. What are you thinking? That I'm grateful. For what? For the storm, the broken skylight, the worst night of my life that turned into the best thing that ever happened. She leaned back. For you seeing me when I couldn't see myself. He kissed her shoulder right over the worst scar. I'll keep seeing you, every day, for the rest of our lives. Promise. Promise. And he did. Because love, real love, the kind that lasts, isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who sees you completely, scars and all, and chooses you anyway. Not because they want to fix you, but because they recognize that being broken in beautiful ways is what makes us human and worth loving. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I truly appreciate you for spending your time here. It means a lot more than you know. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I really want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Your support helps the channel grow and brings more stories like this your way. Thank you for being here. More amazing stories are coming, don't miss them.